Hi, it's Patsy. So I popped on today to do a VR to Simon over at Hermit's Cave. He'd done this on one of his crime streams last week. Your top 5 unused or unappreciated decks. And I've got quite a few of those. I think that's one of the problems when you have so many decks, is getting the use out of all of them. So I've took a good look at my pile of tarots and found 5 that I do really enjoy, but I've just stopped working with them, and I have done for a while and I don't know why. So the first one is the Colour Faulkner Tarot, 6 years on. Now I saw the original, this is by, what's her name? Rhiannon Faulkner. I saw the original deck that she did, which is a black and white one, and I really liked that. But when I contacted her, she hadn't got the black and white one, she'd only got the colour one, which is 6 years on. So it was like 6 years on from her first deck, but I took that anyway. There's the backs. It's a photographic tarot. These are photographs all taken by herself or her family and made into a tarot. And when I first got it, I really enjoyed working with it. It is quite a difficult tarot to work with because it does relate to her family and her family story. So you probably need to know a little bit about her story to be able to kind of get some of the reasoning behind why certain pictures are on that card. But I really enjoyed working with it, and it is a nice little deck. But it got pushed to the back, and I haven't really used it since that first couple of weeks that I got it. But I do tend to find that I do that. So that is one deck that I do like, and when I did work with it, I did enjoy it. And I did use it again this morning because I had a reading to do, and I used this one, and it worked great. So I really should use it more. It is independently published deck. She did sign it when she sent it, and I have got the book to this, and she's also the author of Brian, the Brian deck, Oracle deck. That's Brian is her spirit guide. So this is, she's got this one and another, the black and white tarot, and then she's got the Brian deck. I have the Brian deck, I just haven't got the black and white one, which I would have liked to have been able to get. But that is my first deck that I wanted to show. The second one is the Chrysalis Tarot. Now I've had this 2 years, I should say. It must be 2 years, if not longer. And it is a gorgeous tarot. I love butterflies. And I've tried to work with this, but I just lose patience with it, and I don't know what it is, because it is gorgeous to look at, and the quality card stock is really good. It's a US Games one, so it's lovely card stock. It has got name changes, and that doesn't normally bother me. But I think my problem was I was trying to use it as a more like an RWS, but it really isn't. It's on its own. I have got the book and I need to study it, but when you've got dodgy eyes like me, it's not always easy, and I just prefer to be able to pick a deck up and work with it. But I'm not going to give up on this deck because I do love the images, and it's so gorgeous. I just love the imagery. And really should spend more time on getting to know it. And I think a lot of the decks that I am going to be showing in today of underappreciated and underused decks are simply because of I'm too lazy to try to work with them, because they're slightly different to the RWS. So I can't necessarily pick it up and just, you know, read with it. It's going to take me a little while to get to know it. And when I've got so many other decks I can just go to and read straight off, I tend to get so engrossed in those. These ones just get pushed to the back. But this is one that I really need to try to work with more. And like I said, I do have the book for that, so there's no excuse. So that is the Chrysalis Tarot, and that is the US Games, and Paintings by Holly Sierra and written by Tony Brooks. And it doesn't want to go back into the box. That's the trouble with these tuck boxes. So that is my number 2, and it doesn't want to do up. Don't you just love these tuck boxes? There we go. So that's my number 2. My number 3 is this one. I bought this last year, 18 months ago, something like that. Native American Tarot deck, created by Magda Weck Gonzalez, illustrated by J.A. Gonzalez. And this is a US Games, and I absolutely, yeah, just a couple of cards. Love anything to do with Native American. That's the backs. Thought I'd love this deck, and I do. I do love the imagery on it, but again, it's not one I can just go straight to when I took it out the box and read with, because it has got name changes like 9 Thunderbird, 20 is Still Judgment, 10 is Ruin, what's that one? 1 is Hosty and Coyote, which I do understand about, you know, why that would be related to the Fool. The 3 is Morning, 12 is Sundance. So it's a lot of these, you know, I can understand, but again, because it's not RWS inspired, as you know, I just kind of pass it by. These ones were a slightly smaller card, these ones, than the standard tarot, a bit slimmer. But again, this is one that I need to keep to the front of my pile, because I would love to be able to work with this. And the only reason is, again, laziness. So I need to spend time to get to know these decks, instead of just pushing them to the back and pulling out ones that I can just go to and read straight off with. So the next one is much on the same theme, and it's the Medicine Woman. I've seen this used by a few people and I absolutely loved it. I've got the book, what accompanies it. That's the backs. That's just a couple of little cards. And again, it's just needing to get to know it. The name changes, there is name, or the name changes. Again, you see, I have this running theme. Name changes, and something that I have to get used to doing takes effort. I can't always take the effort, or my eyes won't always allow me to take the effort and allow me to study the cards. So I'll just go and grab one that I can just pull cards from and do a reading, which is no excuse really. But I do love this deck, and that is why I bought it. But it is unappreciated and underused by myself, even though I know that people get some brilliant readings out of this and of this deck. So yeah, so that is another one, and that is the Medicine Woman Tarot, and that is by US Games again. And who's Carol Bridges, and like I said, I do have the book to go with that as well. Now lastly, this one might surprise some people, because I know this is a deck that most people love, and I do love this, and when I first got it I used it constantly, and it's the Tarot of the She. Now I've had this about 2 years, if not a little bit longer, and it's been, for the first few months I used it constantly. I used it all the time, and then it got put onto my shelf, and it stayed on my shelf. And this is an Emily Carding, and it is US Game. Oh no, no it isn't. Who is it? Schiffer. No, it's Schiffer, and that's part of the problem. The cards are a bit sticky. They're a bit big for me for a tarot, but I have seen people have trimmed the side borders off and just left the image with the name in the bottom and the top. And I would love to do that, and when I'm having some good days with my eyes, I think that will give it new life, because the reason I think I stopped using this was because of the size of it. I really struggled to shuffle it, and because it's that cardstock that makes it quite sticky at times to try and shuffle. It can become hard. Now this is name changes in this one, but because I got to know this one for a couple of months, I can now go to them and the name changes are normal for me. A bit like the animal deck that I have, what's it called? Can't think. Oh, 1 minute. Forest of Enchantment. Now I can just pull them without thinking because I've got used to that. So this is the Tower of the She, and like I said, I used to love using this all the time, but for at least the last year, it's just sat on my shelf, and there's no excuse for it because, like I said, I've got used to the name changes. The only thing I can think of is the fact that it's this shiny cardstock, and it does get a bit sticky when you're trying to shuffle it, especially when the cards are on the large side and a bit large for my hands to get a good shuffle out of it anyway. So yeah, I really need to try and get this trimmed, give it a new lease of life for me, and start using it more because I love fade decks. As most people who know me will know, I do love to use a fade deck, and this is a gorgeous one, and I need to use it more. So this is the Tarot of the She. So that is my 5 most unused, underappreciated decks by myself, and I'm leaving them all at the front of my unit so I pull them and get to know them. Thank you for this tag, Simon. It's made me pull out these ones and think about them, and I will have to use them more now. So thanks for watching all, and it's nice to see everybody else's top 5 as well, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.